This isn't just a story, it's the kind that will haunt your thoughts at 2:00 a.m. if you're ready for the raw truth. They never saw it coming. Subscribe now, and if any part of this resonates, hit like and share your thoughts in the comments. Stories like this demand to be heard. The dinner table, a place meant for warmth and connection, transformed into a battleground that night. My father, Thomas, slammed his fist against the wood, rattling the silverware. His voice, a thunderous roar, cut through the air. "You're selfish, Mia. Your sister is superior to you in every conceivable way." The entire room froze. Forks hung mid-air, wine glasses trembled, and uneasy glances were exchanged among relatives. My mother, Diane, gasped faintly, her eyes darting between us like she wished she could erase the words. My cousins shifted in their seats, unsure if they should look away or keep watching. Chloe, my sister, leaned back with that infuriating smirk, the glint in her eyes giving her away. She had been waiting for this moment, maybe even orchestrating it. I didn't cry. I didn't shout back. Instead, I laughed. It came out sharp, cutting like a blade. "Perfect," I said, coolly, locking my gaze on Thomas. "Then I won't be paying her rent anymore." The silence that followed felt heavier than stone. My father's face flushed, red veins rising at his temples. He pushed his chair back so hard it screeched across the floor and pointed at me like I was no longer his daughter, but some enemy intruder. "Get out!" he roared. It was supposed to be Mom's birthday dinner. Instead, it became the night I finally broke free. When I walked into my parents' house earlier that evening, I had braced myself for the usual tension, but I told myself I could endure it for Diane's sake. It was her birthday, and I wanted her to have one night of peace, one night where she could bask in attention instead of refereeing chaos. The smell of roasted chicken and garlic bread filled the air, a scent that once symbolized home. Diane greeted me with a soft smile at the door, her warmth briefly untangling the knot in my chest. For a moment, just one fragile moment, I thought we might actually pull off a normal family dinner. The table was set with care, candles flickering, gently polished plates glowing under their light. As we began to eat, Thomas did what he always did, steered the conversation back to Chloe. His voice swelled with pride as he launched into his usual routine. "She's thriving at college," he boasted, fork gesturing in the air like a trophy. Straight A's juggling work perfect in every way. I forced a smile and chewed slowly, the familiar speech landing like stones in my stomach. Chloe lowered her head, pretending to be humble, but her eyes sparkled with satisfaction. Everyone else at the table sat quietly, letting Thomas hold court like his words were gospel. Diane glanced at me with an apologetic softness, but it didn't ease the sting. I sipped my wine, trying to drown out his praise, but the words kept clawing. She held immense promise, poised to become everything a father could desire. My resentment wasn't directed at Chloe herself, but at how I'd become overshadowed by her. Every event, every social gathering, regardless of whose occasion it was meant to be, inevitably transformed into Chloe's spotlight. Even on Mom's birthday, I forced a smile, vowing not to disrupt the evening. But then Thomas's sharp, expectant gaze landed on me, and everything shifted. "Mia," he said, his voice laced with authority, "are you helping Chloe enough?" My fork froze midair. Helping her enough? I had been covering her rent, groceries, and phone bill for months, even sending her money when she overspent. Before I could respond, his words hung in the air. Thomas turned to Chloe, like a prosecutor baiting his witness. "Does she help you?" He pressed Chloe, tilted her head, pausing just long enough to draw everyone's attention. Then she smiled, sugary sweet, but I could see the calculation in her eyes. "She does," she admitted, "but there's something I've been meaning to ask." My stomach twisted. I already knew what was coming. Thomas leaned forward eagerly, as though she were about to request a crown. "Go on, Chloe," her gaze locked on mine, her voice dripping with faux innocence. "I need a car, Mia. It would make school and work so much easier." The room went still. Forks clinked softly against plates. As every pair of eyes turned to me a car, I repeated setting my fork down with deliberate calm. She nodded eagerly. Something reliable just to keep up with everything. I turned to Thomas, disbelief etched across my face. If she needs a car, why don't you buy it? The air in the room thickened instantly, like a storm rolling in. Thomas's jaw clenched, his eyes narrowing into daggers. You mean to tell me you can't do that for your sister? My pulse raced, but I kept my voice steady. I'm already paying her rent. If she wants a car, that's her responsibility. That's when he snapped. His voice rose, booming, each word sharper than the last. Chloe has potential. She's going places, but she needs support. I've poured half my income into her future because she deserves it. And you can't even do this one thing. The table sank into silence. My cousin stared down at their plates and shifted uncomfortably, no one daring to look at me. Chloe fainted, embarrassment, but the smug smirk tugging at her lips betrayed her. And then Thomas delivered the final blow. She's better than you. Mia always has been, always will be. A laugh broke out of me. Sharp, cold, almost foreign. Perfect, I said, meeting his furious glare. Then she can pay her own rent. His face turned crimson, veins pulsing as he shoved his chair back. The screech against the floor echoed like a scream. Get out, he roared, pointing to the door as though I was some intruder. If you're so selfish, you don't belong here. The room seemed to collapse in on itself. Diane's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide and glistening. My cousins whispered uneasily. My aunts looked away. Chloe kept her head down, but her silence spoke volumes. She wanted this outcome. I stood slowly, studying my heartbeat, forcing a calm expression. Happy birthday, Mom, I said softly, offering Diane the only gift I could give her that night. Then I turned and walked upstairs to my old room, the one frozen in time. Since I'd moved out, I shut the door behind me, leaning against it. As the muffled chaos of voices downstairs spilled upward, I could hear Diane pleading with Thomas to calm down. I could hear my father's rage, and I could hear Chloe's silence loud as thunder. I sat on the edge of my childhood bed, phone in hand, scrolling mindlessly as anger burned through me. This wasn't new. Thomas had belittled me before. He had always elevated Chloe at my expense. But this, doing it on Diane's birthday in front of the entire family, that was the final cut. I wasn't going to beg for respect anymore. I wasn't going to keep being their wallet, their scapegoat, their afterthought. If Thomas wanted me gone, then I'd go, but not quietly downstairs. The chatter resumed, but it was thin, forced, like laughter echoing in an empty hall. Plates clinked, glasses knocked together, forks scraped, as if nothing had just detonated. Burying the wreckage and keeping Chloe in the spotlight was my family's specialty. But I was done playing their rigged game. My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone, yet they were steady enough to log in. My banking app glowed, revealing the joint account Thomas had pressured me into opening years ago. He'd called it a safety net, a backup for the family. In reality, it had become Chloe's lifeline, the place I funneled my paychecks for her rent, her groceries, her endless wants. The number on the screen made my stomach flip. Thousands gone. I scrolled through the ledger, each line of stab withdrawals, marked cash transfers, labeled tuition bills. I never approved. Not just Chloe. Thomas had been dipping into my own father, had been bleeding me dry, then daring to call me selfish. The anger that rose wasn't fire. It was ice-controlled, sharp. I transferred the remaining funds into my personal account, clicked close account, and felt something uncoil in my chest. The chain was gone. Chloe's next rent. That wasn't my problem anymore. Let Thomas play savior by sunrise. The fallout hit my phone, buzzed nonstop. Chloe's name flashing first. Against my better judgment, I picked up Mia. What the hell? She shrieked, voice cracking. You drained the account. I can't pay my rent now. I leaned back, my voice calm as glass. Dad says, you're better than me then. Prove it. Figure it out. You're ruining my life, she screamed. No, I said. You and Dad did that. I ended the call, her outrage still buzzing in my ear. like static. A knock followed soon after. Diane stood at the door, wrapped in a faded robe, her face carved with sleepless lines. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I stepped aside, and she sank onto the bed. "Your father didn't mean it last night," she whispered, rubbing her temples. "He just gets passionate when it comes to Chloe." I laughed. Bitter and sharp. Passionate. He humiliated me in front of everyone. He told me to get out. Her shoulders slumped. "You know how he is. Just fix this, Mia, for the family." "Fix what?" I snapped. "I've been paying Chloe's bills for years. I'm done." Her eyes widened. Panic flickering. "Mia, don't do anything." "Rash." I didn't respond. She left quietly, the click of the door sealing me back in silence. The rest of the day was a barrage of messages from Chloe. "Mia, I need the rent." "What's wrong with you? Answer me." I finally typed, "Ask Dad." "He's got you." Then I muted her number. By evening, it was Thomas's turn. His voice was clipped, almost seething. "You closed the account." "It was my money," I said flatly. "You and Chloe drained me long enough. You're leaving your sister homeless. She's better than me. Remember, she'll survive silence." Then the line went dead. But I knew Thomas. He wouldn't let it slide. His aisle handle at my way was still ringing in my ears, heavy as a storm warning. 2 mornings later, I pulled into their driveway and froze. My old sedan, the car I'd bought at 17, with waitressing tips and saved paychecks, sat with a neon for sale sign slapped across the windshield. My first taste of freedom reduced to a pawn. I stormed inside. Diane nearly dropped the dish she was holding. "Where's Dad?" Her eyes flickered. "He's out." "Why?" I pointed toward the driveway. "He's selling my car." She wrung her hands. "You haven't driven it in years." "He thought, it's mine." I snapped. "Not his to touch." I marched out, ripped the sign off, and drove the car straight to my apartment. The engine rattled, but to me it roared like victory. Minutes later, Thomas's name lit my phone. His voice was smug. "Changed your mind? You don't get to sell what's mine?" I said. He chuckled darkly. "You left it here, that makes it mine to deal with. You're done in this family, Mia." "Fine," I said coldly. "Then let's see how you manage, Chloe." Without me, I hung up, rage simmering, resolve hardening that night. I combed through years of joint account statements. The numbers confirmed everything. Thomas hadn't just helped Chloe. He'd siphoned thousands for tuition, utilities, even his own cash withdrawals. I wasn't just their support system. I'd been their prey. Days later, the ultimate betrayal unfolded. Opening my apartment door after work, I froze. The place was ransacked. TV, laptop, even my watch collection, all gone. There was no sign of forced entry, no broken locks, only 2 people possessed keys. Thomas and Diane. My blood boiled. Shaking, I dialed his number. "Where's my stuff?" I demanded. He sounded almost amused. "What are you talking about?" "You robbed me for Chloe," he said, simply not even bothering to deny it. "Family comes first." "You stole from me." I spat. "You'd understand if you weren't so selfish." I forced my voice steady. "You just made a mistake." Dad and I hung up. The next morning, I sat across from a lawyer, laying everything bare. Photos, receipts, bank records, proof the missing items were mine. She tapped her pen thoughtfully. "This is theft. You can press charges at minimum. Threaten to he'll fold." For the first time in years, I felt power shift back into my hands. That night, I called Thomas. Hitting record, I talked to a lawyer. I said, "Return my things, or I file charges." He laughed, but it was strained. "You jail your own father. Try me." I said. "I have your admission on tape." Silence stretched. Then his voice cracked fine. "I'll get the money." 3 days later, my account lit up. Every cent wired back. No excuses, no apologies. I'd won, but I was done. I sold my apartment, took a new job out of state, and packed what little I had left. The new place was small but quiet. No calls, no guilt trips, just freedom. Months passed like clean air until Diane's number flashed on my phone. Mia, it's Chloe. She's pregnant. The father left. She is nothing. We need you. I leaned back, almost laughing. She's better than me, right? She'll figure it out. And I hung up. I was finally Mia free, untethered, and whole. So I ask you, was I wrong to cut them off, to fight back? Or was this the only path to reclaiming my life? If this story resonated with you, the next one will leave you speechless. Subscribe now so you don't miss it. And if this story moved you, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it.